1, 2, yes. I have been instructed to start the meeting by the leadership of the Free State Legislature, who have asked me to indicate that the hour of the youth has struck. Young people came forward, raised issues with the leadership, and the leadership has listened. And that's why we agreed that we don't belong here. This is your platform. You are going to have to do what you want to do with it. And that's why my opening remarks, I've reduced them to one quote and one quote only, in fact, two. My duty today is to welcome you by saying good morning and to introduce the speaker. Now, having been instructed by the young people themselves, I am heeding that instruction. The first quote is by Amilcar Cabral, one of the outstanding intellectuals and philosophers that the African soil has ever produced. I quote, "Always remember that the people are not fighting for ideas, nor for what is in man's mind. The people fight and accept the sacrifices demanded by the struggle in order to gain material advantages, to live better and in peace, to benefit from progress." Where am I? "And for the better future of their children." He goes further. "National liberation, the struggle against colonialism, the construction of peace, progress and independence are hollow words devoid of any significance unless they can be translated into a real improvement of the living conditions." That's the first quote. The last quote, OR Tambo, equally one of the most outstanding intellectuals and revolutionary that our country has ever produced. I quote, "The children of any nation are its future. A country, a movement, a person that does not value its youth and children does not deserve its future." Honorable members, young people, it is my honor to welcome you at this important meeting, which is historical. You have braved the chilling weather, navigated through the challenges of the coronavirus pandemic to be here to fulfill your historical adage, define your future, and commit to fulfill it. My second task, the Speaker of the Legislature got elected into the position of the Speaker by the Provincial Legislature. I don't want to waste time. I'm sure you'll appreciate the nature and character of the process of the elections of the public representatives. I'm cutting it short. Her name is Honorable Ntombi Zanele, who is an educator, who is a mother, and most importantly, a political activist. Just a small reflection. Honorable Ntombi Zanele, Speaker of the Legislature, in 1999 to 2019, she has been a teacher in various schools. One of them is a secondary school called Letsite Secondary School, where she taught economics management and economic sciences. Honorable Speaker of the Legislature holds a Bachelor's of Arts in Education from Vista University. I also come from there. A Bachelor's of Psychology from the Central University of Technology. A postgraduate diploma in Governance and Political Transformation. And recently she completed a master's degree in the same field from the University of the Free State. She's a trade unionist from the ranks of SATU. She is a leader of society in the province of the Free State. You would know that trade unionism is a lifeblood of a liberation struggle. And my view is that young people at all material times must reflect the character Okuti. They are from the background of the working class and the poor. Maybe the situation has changed now. You are called upon today to reflect the same as I called the Honorable Speaker on the podium to come and address you. Thank you very much. Can we give her a round of applause?
Where's the sanitizer? Is this it? Electricity, Mama. Electricity, I'm worried about. Okay.
Thank you, Honorable Meko. Honorable Janglesin, the leader of opposition in the Free State Legislature, Honorable MEC Khadija, Honorable H. Smith, Honorable D. Smith, Honorable Makesini, and to our youth that we have here today, including the staff that has made it possible for us to be able to hold this youth parliament today. I greet you this morning. We are meeting here today. One would say it's something that happens every year, that in June, we refer to it as a June month. We refer to it as the June month because of the events known to all of us that took place on the 16th of June, 1976, when the socio-political landscape was changed and it was never the same till that day, since that day, sorry. The inauguration of events can be traced back to the introduction of Bantu Education Act of 1953. The surge created an endless anger amongst black students in particular, who continued to sharpen their ideological and political outlook as a tool to fight the then system. However, the apartheid state was relentless, firing into the effects of Africans as a medium of instruction, much to the dismay of the black students, and that was in 1974. Without really dwelling in the details of that day, we remember the subsequent uprising, the peaceful demonstrations, and the apartheid's reaction with tear gases, live ammunition, and brutal killing of young people. After the democratic breakthrough in 1994, socio-political landscape of South Africa changed, and the character of the youth of 1976 was rekindled in a new form. The new generation of South African youth was then confronted by new challenges. Freedom also came with rise and responsibilities. For example, in our Bill of Rights, in our Constitution, the right to life was made central. The nation building became one of the key responsibilities of our youth. This generation of young people emerged to build frontiers of brotherhood across the Republic of South Africa, irrespective of race, gender, or ethnicity. Until recently, our youth has been struggling to deal with the scourge of gender-based violence. And to this effect, His Excellency President Cyril Ramaphosa has likened this problem as a pandemic that is almost equal to the COVID-19 that we are dealing with right now. And indeed, every day we wake up to the news that a woman or a child has been raped and killed. It is one of the challenges that are facing us as the youth, because it could be your sister, it could be your friend, it could be somebody you know who has been killed, or it could be the family that you know that has been affected, or it could be somebody that you know that is responsible for the act. But all the same, we are in it, and we are calling on all the youth to be able to stand up and take it up as one of the challenges that need to be fought, because there is no way that we can build a state that is going to be capable in the midst of all these adversities. It is for this reason, ladies and gentlemen, that we call upon citizens to be able to raise their voice in dealing with the scourge of gender-based violence. We are also facing the COVID-19 that has made our country to halt everything that we would normally do, that has forced us to even have our gatherings in the manner that we are having them right now. It is also the struggle of our time. It is the first during our time. Nobody has ever experienced it. We learn how to deal with it as we move. Then it means we need one another to be able to come together and deal with these challenges. We call upon you to make it a habit to expose characters who harbor tendencies of abuse, and also we need to defend and protect and allow the LGBTI community to exist amongst us. Let us make them know that they have a right to live in our society as we fight to ensure that we have a united South Africa, a united Free State, because there is no way that we can develop Free State if we are not united as people of this province. But the winds of change became perceptible everywhere. Young people achieved remarkable successes after 1994. I wish to pay some tribute, not to everyone, but just to mention some of our young people who have achieved since 1994. In 2004, at the age of 33, we had Mr. Marwala, who received the Order of Mapungubwe in bronze for his outstanding contributions and inspirational achievements in the field of engineering. We've also seen Patience Mthunzi Kufa in 2011 at the age of 35, a young South African physicist and head of biophotonics at CSIR, who received the Order of Mapungubwe in bronze for her achievement in the fields of biophotonics and her invaluable contribution to the scientific research in South Africa and internationally. We've also seen Mark Shuttleworth, at the age of 29 in 2002, who became the first South Africa to go to space. In sports, we have seen in 1995, South African Springboks lifting up a cup under the leadership of the then captain, Francois Pienaar, which became a pride for our nation. That was a moment when we felt so united as South Africans that we can do anything together. And we've seen a group of young South Africans taking the continental stage in full view of the world in their first ever African Cup of Nations in 1996. And we have seen Mbulaeni Mlaudzi, a middle distance runner at the age of 24, winning gold at the World Championship in 2004. We have seen some achieve in film, drama, and art. We have seen Teboho Mahlatsi. We have seen the actors in the movie called Tsotsi, which became an international one. We have seen Kalawa Jamzi. We have seen Prince KB, our own here in the Free State. These are the achievements that have been obtained by the young people since the advent of democracy. However, having mentioned all these achievements, it is just to display that it is possible for the young people to be what they want and become their success, and also contribute meaningfully to their country. But having acknowledged all those achievements, we also realize that there are many challenges. Having mentioned the challenges of gender-based violence, the challenges of COVID-19, we also know that there is a problem of unemployment in our country, which we know that as we are facing this COVID-19, which is going to impact and has already found us at a junk status as an economy, is going to make things worse. But for us as the young people is to be able to say, where I cannot apply for a job and get a salary at the end of the month, we in fact perpetuate the issue of having capital exploiting the working class so that they can get profit. But we can be able to manipulate this period and say, as the young people, what is it that we can do for ourselves? There is opportunities as far as the 4IR is concerned. How do we explore that space to be able to develop ourselves and contribute to our economy and our well-being? So those are the debates that we expect to have. And those that are in business, how do you help your fellow young people to be able to understand what it takes to start a business and run it successfully so? Because if you have already on top of the ladder, why not pull the one who is down there, so that you can pull them up there with you? So that is the discussions that maybe at the end of the day we must come to talk about as a way of moving forward. In the past 2 weeks, about 150 young people with interest in different fields participated in district-based youth parliaments. Like the youth of 1976, they know that they are not here to stay, but to join layers of bricks of an endless monument. I've had discussions with honorable members who administered the district activities. I was impressed by the feedback received about the deliberations and the resolutions which have been taken and the manner in which the youth owned that space and robustly debated to say, this is what we wish to say in the future. So we assumed a three-pronged phase to this year's Youth Parliament. We have noted with great interest the concerns that many of the resolutions of previous Youth Parliament have been gathering dust in government file cabinets. I have thus far engaged with the Premier, although we did not talk at length, but to say we are going to have a Youth Parliament as the legislature. The intention is to be able to go back to the Executive Council of the province and be able to say, here are the aspirations and the resolutions taken by the youth of the Free State in this Youth Month of 2020. And as the executive, can you assist us in taking them forward so that we can come back? We must be able to come back at some stage and say, we once resolved on this, and this is what we have done, so that we can be able to see progress. Because we must avoid having to come here every year in June and sit here and lambast. It becomes a rhetoric if there is no practicality that will follow that at the end of the day. So now, the intention is to go to the executive and make sure that we engage them on the issues that shall have been raised by the youth. And this includes the measures that are put in place by our government in aiding the youth initiatives to save existing jobs during the COVID-19 pandemic period. And we know that part of the problem is lack of access to information by youth in terms of relief measures for the enterprises. Furthermore, the burden of access to resources for young people and students disposed by the closure of campuses due to this pandemic. Today's Youth Parliament session serves as our second phase in dealing with concrete proposals by youth. The third phase will be the Executive Council of the Free State. We welcome the presence of the member of the Executive Council, Honorable Khadija Brand, whom we are hoping and expecting that some of the things that we might not understand that can assist the youth can be briefly touched, she will briefly touch on. And lastly, I wish to thank all in advance, all the participants, the media, the officials, the security cluster for playing a role in the success of this event. The period we find ourselves in is a difficult one, and the fact that all of you are willing to play a role, it is encouraging that you have come here despite the conditions that prevail out there to be able to be with us today. I thank you very much. And I know before I leave the podium, we will then have to elect the speaker of the day, right? Without further ado, I'm going to request from the participants the nominations for the speaker who is going to take us forward from here. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm sorry that I'm going to point you by fingers. It's only at the legislature where I know them by their names, so I will start there. Yes, sir.
Thank you very much, outgoing speaker.
Okay.
My name is Sonabile Dwaba, and I am nominating the name of Patience Dibate for speaker.
The name of Patience Dibate has been nominated. Can I see any seconder? Are you seconding, or do you want to come up? A different name. First, can we see the nominated person? Is it you? Any seconder? Okay. Can you state your name, the person who is seconding?
Thank you very much. My name is Mohanwa Masobe. I second the name of Patience Dibate.
Okay. Any other nomination? Mr. Zingitwa? I haven't sworn you in yet.
Thank you, Speaker. My name is Honorable Sizwe Zingetwa, a young person below the ages of 30 years. Would like to nominate the name of Honorable Mbele Malejaha to be the Speaker of the session.
The name of Mbele Malejaha, can we see the nominated person? Can you stand up so that we can see you? Okay. Any seconder?
My name is Bongani Matonzela, and I second the name of Mbele.
Okay.
Honorable Mbele. Thank you.
Oh, okay. Honorable Mbele. Okay. So we've got two names. Should I go for the third one? For the third nomination? We've got two names. Has anybody jotted them down for me? We'll go to a vote. Okay. There are two names that have been nominated. We've got the name of, even doctors don't write like this. Patience Dibate. Okay? And then the other nominee is Mbele Malejaha. Now, I'm going to expose the two names to a vote. We are going to start. You vote once. Let's vote once. And we must make sure that only the participants are going to vote. Any other person who might be accidentally here or found themselves here accidentally, they won't vote. And I'm going to request the staff to help. The participants don't count hands. It is the staff who are going to count the hands. We are going to start with those who want to vote for Patience Dibate to raise their hands. You may count. Bring the number to me. I want both of you to give me the numbers. Those who've been counting, give me the numbers. Date Mudipa, how many? And here? Okay. All right. And then let's go for those who want Mbele Malija to be the speaker of the day, can you please raise your hands? Yeah? No, hauna majority mo pamsalto. Raise your hand, please. Ke a tse. A ne ke re le babedi le phile 9. Ba kopanyeng se la mpha diqonwana. Okay. We are done. I see somebody raising your hands. Baba. So we've got the results of our elections. Patience Ditabe received 9 votes, while Mbele Malija received 27 votes. So the speaker of the session today will be Mbele Malija. Mbele, can you approach the podium? This is your speaker, you are supposed to stand up.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Thank you, honorable members. You may be seated. Before we proceed with the business of the day, I request that we stand up and observe a moment of silence for prayers and meditations. Thank you. You may be seated. I would like to welcome you all who are present here today, honorable members, to this Youth Parliament for Free State that is scheduled for the date of 27th June 2020. Before we proceed, I'd like to thank you very much for entrusting me to be a speaker of the day. And I would like to urge you that you raise issues that are affecting young people, because there's nothing for the youth without the youth. The standing rules and orders of the day are those of the legislature, and they will be those that will be applying for today's sitting. Honorable members, before we proceed with the member statement, I wish to inform the House that on the provisions of the day, which stipulates that a maximum of 1 minute will be allocated for each member, limited to 2 members per political party, to make statements on issues of national importance, starting with the official opposition, followed by other political parties in order of their size of membership. What's the point of order?
It's fine. It's directional. Speaker, so I don't know. Is it a new one for the new speaker, or what is happening? Please just clarify what you are doing there.
May you start from the beginning, Honorable Speaker, because I couldn't hear.
Oh, no, apologies, Bogoto.
Thank you.
Can I just get clarity on the program you're presenting? Is not the program that was presented to us prior. Can you hear me?
I'm listening to you.
I'm saying the program that you're presenting is not the program that we were informed of, and even as the whips, is not the one that we know. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Member. I was just stating the standard order. We'll get to what you're talking about. Are you answered? Sorry? Honorable Member?
No, I'm trying to avoid a dialogue, Speaker, between myself and yourself. I want to understand what is going to happen now, because the order you're presenting is not the order that we know in terms of how things are going to proceed. You're presenting something totally different to the one that we know, Speaker.
Thank you very much, Honorable Member. As I said earlier, I'm just stating the standard order. What you and other whips have discussed, we'll get to it on a later stage. I hope you answered. As I was saying, the official opposition will start, followed by other parties in order of their size of membership in the House. This shall be concluded by statements from members of the majority party in the House. We now proceed to statements by members. Are there any statements by members? By a show of hands, are there any statements by members? I see a hand.
Honorable Speaker, my name is Tepa Mohapi. Honorable Speaker, it seems like you are lost. You don't understand the point of order of Honorable Sonabile.
May we kindly allow Speaker to
Honorable
finish?
Sonabile was saying what you are stating there, saying each member will be given 1 minute to present. It is out of order. It is not what the Chief Whip agreed with. So please fix that, Speaker, before we proceed. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Honorable Manabile. Thank you, Honorable Manabile. this one, right?
The time location of the whips that he's talking about, Governor Buleka, they have been really, have been work. But right now we're still looking at the announcement, the deadline we're waiting for statements. So the time location for the anything has changed. So you recognize the change of time locations. But the order of business remains the same.
Okay. Honorable Speaker.
Where's the honorable member talking? Yes, honorable member.
I think there's just a confusion. As the whips, we decided on a specific program. So if maybe they can maybe give you that program that we had discussed, I think it will clarify everything.
Thank you, honorable member.
Speaker. Speaker. Chief, this is not your. Oh.
I haven't recognized you, honorable member. Don't stand up without being recognized. You may proceed.
No, the chief whip of the ANC is assisting us quite correctly. And the impression is that your table is not assisting because the impression is that the whips have met and agreed on the program. So we must just warn the intention from the table to sabotage the progressive speaker here. The speaker is correct, colleagues. The program is the table that wants to sabotage the speaker. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Zingitwa. Honorable Chief Whip of the ANC is giving us direction, and as per the program, we would then move to reading of the order paper by the Secretary of the House, which is Secretary Merifilwe Moroka.
Reflection of provincial government work on youth development.
We're now proceeding to remarks by political parties. Before we go to political parties, it's Honorable Manabile, presentation by Honorable Manabile.
Honorable Speaker of the Free State Legislature, Honorable Zanele Sifuba, Honorable members of the Free State Legislature, present, Honorable MEC of Finance, MEC Brown, Honorable Speaker of the Free State Virtual Youth Parliament, members of the Free State Virtual Youth Parliament, leaders of the Progressive Youth Alliance led by the ANC Youth League in the Free State, leaders of faith-based organizations, leaders of civil society organizations, leaders of youth and business community, youth of the Free State, the people of the Free State. Dumelang, good morning, Thobela, Molweni, Goeiemorgen. The words of Frantz Fanon, that each generation must discover its mission, fulfill it or betray it in relative opacity, come to mind when one gets this opportunity to give an account of the state of youth development in the Free State. Honorable Speaker, the youth of the Free State need a responsive government, a government that not only listens, but responds, coupled with action and implementation, a government that is able to walk the talk when it comes to the livelihoods of the young people in the Free State. The remarkable potential in the youth of the Free State across all sectors and spaces is undeniable, and these people and these young people from time immemorial have always been driven by changing the Free State, by changing the ways things are done, by changing the way we live, by changing unjust systems, by bringing about justice, and by bringing about a new beginning in the Free State. That government, young people of the Free State, is the Free State provincial government led by the Honorable Premier Sisi Ntombela and her executive collective. So as we pay tribute to the generation of 1976 on this 44th anniversary of the 1976 June uprisings, we also salute the youth of the post-apartheid South Africa, the worthy inheritors of this noble legacy. The mission of the 1976 generation was to dismantle Bantu education, but that of today's youth is to take forward the project of economic freedom. Honorable members, this year's commemoration of Youth Day takes place during a global health pandemic known as COVID-19. This pandemic is far more than a health crisis. It is affecting societies and communities and economies at their core. While the impact of this pandemic will vary from province to province in the country, it is most likely to increase poverty and inequality at a global scale. Vulnerable and marginalized youth are at particular risk of COVID-19 and its impacts. Young people living in rural areas, adolescent girls, young men, young women, the indigenous and ethnic minority youth, young persons with disabilities, young people living with HIV/AIDS, young people with different sexual orientations and gender identities, as well as the homeless youth, are already experiencing this challenge. Young people with physical or mental health conditions also faced an elevated risk in relation to COVID-19. The pandemic and the economic recession may further fuel the stigma and discrimination among certain groups of young people, which in turn would further exclude them from accessing the normal service delivery issues to maintain their livelihoods. These impacts should form part of the way forward for the provincial government of the Free State in terms of youth development. Honorable Speaker, youth development is about providing young people with the agency and the platform to make decisions about their lives and have access to resources, opportunities, and training that will position them to successfully engage with systems and institutions that will help them realize their dreams and goals while meeting their needs and living meaningful lives. The Youth Office in the Office of the Premier offers services which include facilitation and coordination of youth programs in the province, mainstreaming of youth programs, monitoring and evaluation, as well as coordination of interdepartmental committees and youth structures to engage and discuss issues affecting young people. Honorable members, one measure of a progressive state is the way it treats its youth. Free State has shown that it appreciates this and has put in place effective structures to ensure that young people fully participate in the provincial life of the Free State provincial government. The claim of youth to a bright future is unquestionable. Our youth have, in our history of blood and effort, borne much of the brunt of the struggle. For many years under apartheid, they were quite literally and deliberately deprived of a future by a system which kept all blacks in bondage in a country of their birth. For young people, it meant enormous deprivation of something that they needed to have gotten a long time ago from government. It is therefore post-democracy that youth-friendly policies started to be enacted to ensure that this important cohort of the population, which is young people, does not get left behind. Youth policies are informed by the South African Constitution, the National Development Plan, the 25-year review recommendations, midterm assessment report, the implementation, media assessment report on the implementation of the National Youth Policy 2020, the African Charter of 2006, the United Nations World Programme of Action for Youth for the year 2020 and beyond, and various other many endless policies that have to do with emancipating our youth. We appreciate the different policy perspectives from all spheres of government, and the Free State is actively participating in the National National Youth Policy Review process, as well as the amendment of the NYD Act 54 of 2008. Furthermore, the draft Free State Integrated Youth Strategy is ready to go through the necessary processes, legislatively and consultatively so, in order so that it can be passed for implementation to better the lives of the young people of the Free State. Municipalities also have developed their own respective strategies, which municipalities are in majority of drafting and are awaiting council approval. We know that without proper processes being followed to institutionalize youth development across all spheres of governance, there will be no progress. Honorable Speaker, youth development is guided by the National Youth Policy 2020, which has 5 main streams: economic transformation and participation, education, skills and second chances, healthcare and combating substance abuse, nation building and social cohesion, and building responsive youth development institutions. The focus of today will be on building responsive youth development institutions, as without the necessary foundation and needed infrastructure, the other mentioned mainstreams will be nothing and nothing will be implemented. As we march forward, crafting a sustainable future for those who will come after us, we must be able to be committed to rise to the occasion and not be found wanting in the pursuit of the ideal of youth development and youth emancipation. In a state of the province in February 2020, the Honorable Premier had this to say, and I quote, "We want what is best for our youth. Focusing on our youth, economic growth and employment creation will in this financial year be our main priority. Radical economic transformation is our path to success to unleash our potential of the young people of the Free State," and I close quote. This implies that young people will continue to be at the center and the beneficiaries of the continued hard work of the Free State provincial government. The late father of the nation, Dr. Nelson Mandela, once said that education is the most powerful weapon you can use to change the world. The Free State has done well in basic education, where we've maintained position 1 in the matric pass rate for a number of years, proving that indeed, when a community comes together, the fruits will be sweet. MEC Maho continues to deliver and indeed is simply the best. Robotics in our school once again proves that Free State is evolving into the current technological epoch of the 4th Industrial Revolution. We look forward as well to a change in the career guidance and curriculum content aimed at enhancing technology-based and productive sectors of the economy. The skills revolution that young people need is indeed in motion. Honorable members, the Office of the Premier also annually embarks on the Baveli Lehlongwa Right to Learn campaign, where the engagement with key stakeholders in higher education fraternity unfolds to ensure access and success of the working class child is guaranteed. The Free State Provincial Government currently has 1,061 active local bursary holders, which are studying in the different South African public institutions of higher learning. There are also currently 318 active international bursary holders studying in China, Turkey, Belarus, Portugal, Russia, and the United States of America at Bau University. The Office of the Premier is also responsible for the implementation of programs of the National Skills Fund. Various learnerships have been implemented. A total number of 2,232 young people have been placed in the graduate internship program, both in the public and private sector. Once again, we as young people call out to the private sector to strengthen their practical contribution towards youth development by embarking on public-private partnerships whenever possible in terms of enhancing the lives of young people of the Free State. Honorable members, reducing Free State's high level of youth unemployment requires the economy to be on a labor-absorbing path. This depends on a successful reorientation of the Free State economy to raise the labor demand with matching improvements on the supply chain, on the supply side. Reindustrialization and economic diversification are also necessary to boost job creation, and these factors at the heart of the National Development Plan, the new growth path, the Free State Growth and Development Strategy, as well as the various sector strategies and other programs
that support economic transformation and emancipation of young people in the Free State. We also take note of the work done in Provincial Treasury of steadily implementing the 30% set aside, improvement of public employment schemes that set out to create meaningful work opportunities for the youth, the rural and agricultural development of young people, cross-cutting interventions for economic transformation and job creation, as well as the development and support offered to youth-owned businesses and cooperatives. The lead departments in these key economic transformations or interventions in the lives of young people are the Provincial Treasury, the Department of Economic Affairs, Small Business Development, Tourism and Environmental Affairs, led by MEC Mohale, Department of Agriculture and Rural Development, led by MEC Bulwani, Department of Public Works and Infrastructure, led by MEC Koloi, and the Department of Police, Roads and Transport, led by MEC Mashinini. Youth of the Free State. To ensure effective and responsive youth development machinery, youth development must be institutionalized in line with the NDP's provision. In the youth sector, the dedicated institutions which primarily deliver services to young people in support of holistic, integrated and sustainable development were established, and to name a few, we've got the youth unit in the Ministry of Women, Youth, Persons with Disabilities at national level. We've got youth directorates, youth units or offices across the spheres of governance. We also have the National Youth Development Agency and the Presidential Youth Working Group, which the Free State fully participates in. Our relationship with the NYDA continues to bear fruits, and there's starting to be significant progress. The Free State Provincial Government has subsidized 1 million rand to the NYDA to increase financial and non-financial support for its youth. The NYDA, through the support of the Free State Provincial Government, will also be opening regional or district offices in the following areas. In Qarib, it will be in Tromsbeck. In Lejoliputsa, it will be in Velkom, in Thabo Mofokeng, in Qwaqwa. There will also be a satellite for Mangaung in Botshabelo, as well as Fezile-Dabi. We know the office was launched already, and it was opened in Tweeling, but also be a satellite in Fezile-Dabi in Paris. Honorable Speaker, as part of executing our mandate, the Youth Office and the Office of the Premier chairs the following youth development forums across the Free State. We've got the Youth Development Officers, which is at a local government level, where district and local municipality-wide Os participate, input, and make sure that lives of young people are changed through the IDP processes and other processes through council resolutions and so forth. We also have the Interdepartment Youth Coordinating Forum, which is all provincial departments as well as departments that are in existence within our province, where we meet and craft and get report and progress reports from departments and what they're bringing to the province in terms of development and so forth. We have our Education Stakeholders Forum, as also mentioned through by the Lile Hlonga Right to Learn campaign. We also have our Stakeholders Forum, which is a combination of both public and private sector, where you continuously engage to find opportunities for young people in terms of work placement, career opportunities, and entrepreneurship. There's also a previous advisory group, which is aligned to the Presidential Youth Working Group, where premiers advised accordingly in terms of what young people of the Free State need and want, and what needs to happen. We also participate in the National
Youth... Only left with 1 minute, Honorable Manabile.
We also participate in the National Youth Development Coordinating Forum, where the views of young people are represented. It would be an injustice if I do not speak about the gender-based violence against young people. The Department of Police, Roads and Transport is working very hard, but we need to send a clear message as young people in the government and all sectors to say that enough with killing of young people, and these people must be locked away. Government needs to come in and make sure that the perpetrators do not find a way out of, and we need to have a strong strategy that will stop these things from happening and killing of our young women. Honorable Speaker, as I conclude, despite the commendable efforts by government and other strategic partners over the years, the need to work on youth development in the province is still there, and therefore we'll always speak about it. because we are young people and we are
Your time is up, Honorable Member.
Let me thank the ANC Youth League for entrusting me with this important task, Honorable Speaker, and we hope that the legislature will continue to play the strict oversight role in terms of youth development in the province and actually see that young people are finding space. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
We now proceed to questions pertaining the presentation. And I want you, honorable members, to note that only questions that are related to the presentations shall be allowed. All members will be afforded Yes, honorable member over there. Yes.
About the presentation, because we intended to debate on the topics that we had, but now we have to actually ask questions and also comment on what we have, not just the presentation that was just done now.
Before I make a ruling on that, there was another hand over there. Yes. The honorable member in a red jacket today. I was pointing at honorable member there.
Speaker.
May we please allow him time to raise his order?
Can I raise my order?
May we?
You can't raise an order on an order.
May we allow? May we allow him to raise an order and then?
You haven't even had the order.
Honorable member. Honorable member, may we just allow him time to raise his order and then?
Speaker, thank you very much, Speaker, of today's sitting. I was partly covered by the former Speaker. This is an order here.
May we please respect the House? Honorable members, may we kindly respect the House? Honorable member over there, I just asked you to afford honorable member over here on the floor to raise his order, and then we'll move to you. Honorable member, may we please afford the honorable member on the floor to speak?
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. When I speak of the sitting, elected speaker, not self-appointed. Speaker, I wanted to concur with the former speaker to say that also, can you please ask your table to assist you? Because I feel like you don't have all the information. Because what we spoke on, Speaker, it is not what is happening now, what you just said. Because we said the report in itself, if it does not cover certain aspects that are related to the youth, so we can't just speak on the presentation only, but on other youth-related issues that were not necessarily brought up in that presentation. Thank you, Speaker.
Thank you very much, honorable member. Honorable Mantashe.
Thank you, Speaker. Speaker, out of order. Honorable members can speak without honorable Speaker. Here we are in Parliament, we want to know the names of the speakers when they raise issues. This sitting is recorded. Yes, you can laugh, it's fine. But you are out of order, honorable members. We want to know the names, Speaker. They can't just stand up and speak as they want. We want to know the names. Thank you, Speaker.
Thank you, honorable member. There was another hand, lady over there.
Honorable Speaker, I'm going to request your table, it's misleading you honestly, to give you the program as well as everything that we have discussed so that you don't contradict yourself. The table is misleading you, Honorable Speaker.
Honorable members, my table just informed me that what you guys agreed on will be dealt with later on. Right now, we're dealing with questions and remarks based on the presentation of Honorable Tswelopele Manabile. So we move to clarity seeking. Yes, honorable member. Who's raising the hand? Oh, this side. There's an honorable member, that side.
Thank you very much, Speaker. My name is Mbulelo Mchilebe from Fezile-Tabi District. There is a program which was circulated in this house, and we rely on this program to guide us in terms of the business of the day. And I'm hoping this is the program in front of you, because I'm very worried that you seem to be getting some kind of dictatorship from the other side of the house. Because someone just raises their hand and they tell you that this is not what they discussed somewhere. We don't even know where. We don't even know what they discussed there. And that itself changes the direction of whatever that you are saying, Speaker. Could you please refrain from being dictated by other members of the House? If there is anything that is not correct on the program, could you please fully rely on the table that you are sitting with there to guide you, Speaker? Please. Or else we are going to dance to their tune the entire night. Thank you.
It's allocated how many times? 45 minutes.
You noted, comrade?
Yes, 20 minutes. According to the progress, according to the program after Honorable Manabile, there are questions and responses. Go there. From there, you can hear. Don't take any more orders.
Honorable members, the program that I have before me here states that after Honorable Manabile, there are questions by the members of the House. And then we will have final remarks by all youth forums later. I think everybody is covered there. So may we kindly move to questions on the presentation. If there are no questions, we can move to the next item. Are there any questions? Is it a question?
Point of order.
Unfortunately, I'm not going to take any other order. Honorable member, unfortunately, I'm not taking any other order. Are there questions based on the presentation?
Honorable Speaker, there won't be questions because we agree.
But I didn't grant you, honorable member. Thank you very much. Are there any questions on the floor? In the absence of questions, may we kindly move to the next item? Honorable members, do we have questions regarding the presentation? With a show of hands, I'll be noting. Questions? You will start, honorable member. Then honorable member over here. Honorable member, you'll come after. There's a hand at the back. Any other hand? Is there a hand over there? All right. You will close, honorable member. Honorable member.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I'm Nomaiza Bakhamela, by the way. First question, Honorable Speaker, is that the honorable member that spoke here spoke about training. So my question is, how many young people in statistics have the office helped, like real number statistics, have helped during the COVID-19 pandemic? The second question is, how many young people with businesses have been assisted by this office? Because as we stand right now, the NYDA, they had 5,000 applications, but we haven't actually received any young people who have been actually assisted in numbers. So we want to know how many people have been assisted by this relief of the COVID-19, especially on the side of the NYDA. The other question is the strategies that you've just mentioned of municipalities. I hear that strategies are there to help or solve a problem, but currently we are standing on 30.1% of unemployed youth in the country. So how have these strategies actually assisted young people in this province? And then you mentioned radical transformation.
What are you raising on, Honourable Member? Okay, Honourable Member.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. I will address you. And then the other question is that it was on the presentation, the Honourable Member mentioned that there will be offices that will be,
You've got 1 minute remaining.
Yes. So that in Tabanchudi was an office that existed of the NYDA. It didn't work for young people. So we want to understand this time when they implement these offices, how are they going to be assisting young people, especially in these rural areas? Last but not least, the DA calls for the data for all. So now, what are they saying about that? Because literally each and every young person needs data to do anything. So I thank you.
Honourable Member, yes, you may come.
Thank you very much, Honourable Speaker. My name is Tsapa Mohapi. Honourable Speaker, I heard the Speaker talking about the Office of the Premier providing bursaries for students. Honourable Speaker, I think you will agree with me when I say what she is saying is indeed true in the paper, as she says there. But when she had to implement it, it is a problem because now in the University of Free State, we have more than 100 students who still have outstanding fees, who haven't received the food allowances. Their accommodation are still unpaid. Thank you very much.
Is a point of order?
Speaker, you have allowed only a session of questions. Can you just control your house for now to entertain questions, not views and inputs?
Thank you, Honourable Member. The third hand.
Thank you very much, Speaker. I want to thank the speaker that spoke. She also mentioned that corporate and the private sector needs to play a role, but without going into detail as to how the corporate is just a matter of they want to negotiate with corporate and in the private sector on how they must also participate in the whole concept of youth development and youth empowerment. And with the previous speaker, I mentioned something very critical there, that the office of the Premier, that they praise themselves so much with these bursaries. But the reality and fact of the matter is that currently it's not even just the students in the Free State, but it's students that are in China, students that are in Russia. I know of students that have not received allowances from the year 2016. Now, I want to understand, in us keeping the executive accountable, when that happens to the people that are governing, because it's the office of the Premier.
Can we take a point of order?
Oh, yes, you can, Speaker. No, it's facts.
Honourable Speaker, Honourable Motseki Motolo here, speaking. Speaker, I have a problem on understanding that during your session, you just articulated to us how are we going to move. Now, please, Speaker, we cannot continuously have views that does not have any substantial evidence with it. So please allow everyone to impose their questions on the presentation on issues related to what we are here for, the Youth Parliament, and in particular the National Youth Policy. Any other views or any other interviews or intellectual of one, we cannot allow it, dear Speaker. Please, thank you.
Honorable members, I would ask you to refrain from making statements and ask questions. And also take note that each speaker will be allocated 1 minute to ask their questions. You may proceed, Honorable Member.
No, Speaker, you're out of order. The program that we have, it says questions and responses. Now, you cannot police me on how to respond. You can't. You honestly can't. You check your order paper and it says questions and responses.
You may
Thank
proceed,
Speaker.
Honorable Member.
Thank you very much, Speaker. I'll continue.
Can we have order in the House?
So Speaker, in concluding.
There's a point of order. Yes, Honorable Member, what's a point of order?
The honorable member is a bit confused. I don't recall him standing before us giving us a presentation. So now his is to give us the questions. Then we'll be expecting responses from what has been presented to us by Honorable Manabil. So we're not confused in this House, Madam Speaker. Please guide
may
the
we have
honorable
order? Order, Honorable Members. Your order is sustained, Honorable Member. Please continue. What's your point of order? And thank you very much.
Suka.
Thank you very much.
Can you throw Suka, member, please?
Did anyone in the House say Suga? I didn't hear it. Did anyone in the House say Suga?
Speaker, I want to go. We don't even know what's happening. But it's fine, Speaker. Can I proceed, Speaker?
Did you say Suga, Honorable Member?
Yes, I did, Speaker.
May you please withdraw?
Wait, Speaker, how is Suga?
May you please withdraw?
How is Suga unparliamentary? What is
who must Suga here?
Exactly, Speaker. Now, how is that unparliamentary?
Yes, who were you? Can we not have a debate on this?
No, but
can we not? I'm not taking any other order. Can we not have a debate on this? Did you say Suga?
So, Speaker, when I tell my
Honorable Member.
No.
Did you say Suga?
Yes, I did, Speaker.
May you kindly withdraw your Suga because
No, Speaker. You must ask where was it directed to. Context is important, Speaker.
Honorable Comrade Al-Hadra.
Context is important.
Comrade Al-Hadra, you are not going to speak as you please. Honorable Member, I'm asking you to withdraw that Suga, and then we can proceed.
Yes, don't speak. For the sake of peace, I will withdraw.
Honorable Member, you cannot speak as you please. May you kindly respect the House.
No, you can chase comrades out, Speaker. You are allowed. You are the Speaker. So, in closing, Speaker.
The Honorable Member just apologized and then we're proceeding. I'm not taking your order. Honorable Member, you cannot speak as you please. I've asked you several times. You need to be allowed to speak, to be on the floor. You may proceed, Honorable Member.
So, can the Honorable Member was presenting the presentation just clarify us on what have they done to fix the issue of their own administration in terms of bursaries? Because it's not true that we're taking this thing from a tree. It is a reality. We know that from 2016, it's a fact. We're not taking it from trees as some people might perceive. So please, Speaker, can the member also in a response just give clarity as to what have they done? Because to our knowledge, it is not true that all students have been receiving their allowances. Thank you very much.
The fourth speaker, Honorable Member over there.
Thank you.
Honorable member,
Thank
you were
you, Honorable.
speaking, you were afforded time to, I'm so sorry, you were afforded time to speak and they respected you. May you kindly respect other members on the floor. You may proceed, honorable member.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I'd like to find out what are the plans of the Office of Youth Development in terms of ensuring that Free State is an enabling space for the LGBTQI youth to coexist with other communities. I would also like to know if the development of curriculum content includes teaching learners and students in depth about the LGBTQI community, and does it include the introduction of gender-sensitive language in schools and institutions of higher learning? Does the economic transformation programs include having a legislation that guides the employers in employing a certain number of queer people per workplace and the introduction of gender-sensitive language in private and public sectors? Does the plans of the office in terms of social cohesion include having a gender and sexuality office? Lastly, does the programs of the Youth Development Office include the empowerment of transgender women and the queer community at large? Thank you, Speaker.
The last speaker.
No, ke a leboha for motsotso o mphileng ona, Speaker. Speaker, I just want to share something on a lighter note because us sitting here as honorables, one of the Honorable Thabo Meko also articulated something about Amilcar Cabral. There's a point whereby it was spoken of material gains coming from the rise of the struggles of the young people. And sharing to relate that with the 1976 young people, the young people felt a need to fight against any part of dispossession that they have faced during those challenges or years. Now, the difference now is that during a democratic society, we have youth that does not share the vision to go and get those gains of material
What's your
gains.
question,
Now
honorable
it becomes
member?
our challenge. Oh, Speaker?
What's your question?
Yes. No, I'm just sharing an overview, what has already been said.
Is it based on the presentation?
Yes, Speaker. Comrade Honorable Thabo Meko was here. I believe so.
Presentation by Honorable Manabile.
Okay. Now, coming to what Honorable Manabile has also articulated or reported as the Youth Directorate again, we find that there are those material gains that some of the youth within the Free State have acquired. But on using the rule, the majority rule, we find the majority of youth not having the ability to gain such materials, even though they can pinpoint where they are. So now, my question will be to Honorable on the presentation. How will they facilitate or advocate for such youth who are eager to achieve such material gains? How can they better advocate for them in terms of issues like maybe human settlement, food securities, because those are bread and butter issues? Now, again, Honorable Speaker, Honorable Manabile spoke of social challenges that are affecting our livelihood as young people. That within our communities we are having substance abuse, crime as a norm within young people, even the stats and ratings say so. But now, to the presentation, I want to again ask Honorable Manabile that have they realized that the correctional service in the Free State is giving those who are within their compounds better service delivery than the young peoples outside? and what are they saying about it? I think it will be better for them again
Honorable Member.
to go and check if they can review such, because I do not expect those who harm the
Your time is
very
up.
same
May
young
you
people
kindly take your seat,
are afforded
Honorable Member?
a privilege to better themselves. Now, on a
Your
later
time
note,
is up, Honorable Member. May you take your seat.
okay, can I abuse the time for now,
No.
Honorable Speaker?
Unfortunately
Honorable Speaker,
not.
I've waited
Honorable
365 to be given a
Honorable
moment.
Member, please
So now I can't
take
put time
your
on it.
seat.
Honorable Speaker, I've waited
May
365
you
days from
kindly take
2019
your
till
seat,
today.
Honorable Member.
So can you afford me just to abuse it? Allow me.
No. May you kindly hand over the mic? I would like to give Honorable Manabile the platform to respond to the questions that were posed. Is there a hand up there? At the back.
Thank you, Speaker.
But who is speaking? Who is speaking? Oh, all right.
Hello.
You can proceed, Honorable Member.
Okay, thank you, Speaker. Apologies, first of all, for not raising my hand when I was given a chance to. I did not raise it because I couldn't make notes when the presentation was made, but I had to gather my thoughts. So my question would be actually, first of all, it is actually painful to see reports or to hear presentations that are not honest. Because where I'm from, for the past 5 years...
Are you asking a question,
Yes,
Honorable Member?
here's my
May you
question.
kindly go straight to the question?
Okay, my question is, how is the YDO through, the YDOs at local government bettering the lives of people, young people, and people with disabilities? Because in the IDPs, if you were to see, there's nothing that is helping young people socially and economically. So I do not understand why in the presentation is it mentioned that at local government, young people's lives are bettered. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Member. Honorable Manabile.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. And thank you, honorable members, for the questions based on what is presented to you on behalf of the Free State Provincial Government Youth Office. I think it's important to also reflect that we are in an abnormal situation because of COVID-19. So things will not be normal or go according to the normality that we are used to as young people. And I say this because we need to appreciate that the systems in place to help or assist young people with opportunities were not accessible because of the lockdown restrictions and the different levels that we had to endure. I start there, honorable members. But in terms of responding to the different questions posed, in terms of the Free State training or the training of young people, it is true we have trained to date, from the beginning of the financial year to date, 2,236 young people. I do have the names, I do have the seaters that assisted, I do have the towns per placement, I do have the institutions or the offices or the workplaces where these young people were placed. And it's a total of 136 different workplaces that the young people were placed. So in terms of the question on skills development and where these young people are, they are here on paper. I don't know if we do not believe on something and seeing something in evidence, or when it's a fact, you want to dispute a fact. I don't know what that could be. In terms of business relief funds for COVID-19, the Department of Economic Affairs, Tourism, Small Business in the province has actually in the previous week launched the economic incentives that will be given out to businesses throughout, but young people as well can apply. The information is available on www.distia.gov.za. www.distia.gov.za. And I think it's a full package where you will be able to apply in the different categories, formal and informal sector of business of young people. In terms of the National Youth Development Agency, they do or they try and help, but because the National Youth Development Agency reports to a board at national level, a board that has to cater for all 9 provinces, we need to appreciate the steady steps that have been taken in making sure that the lives of young people in the Free State are actually changed. I will be pleased to tell this House that the National Youth Development in the province has actually been listed as one of the most effective branches in the country in terms of grant relief programs, support programs, mentorship programs to small businesses. So it means we are responding not at the pace where we ought to, but we are steadily responding. And of course, the answer will always be budget constraints. So as the Free State provincial government decided to subsidize the NYDA in the Free State, we need to appreciate that at least the government has seen a need that young people actually do go to the NYDA for assistance. And it is at that level that we need to start appreciating that it will not be an overhaul or overnight change, but development over time. The reason of placing, or the issue about rural youth, is that one of the key objectives identified by NYDA is that the offices should be able or should be accessible to youth in rural areas. So without saying youth that are from rural towns will not be neglected, but they become first priority on behalf of the NYDA. And in terms of the COVID-19 regulations, the national office, because currently the NYDA does not have a board in existence, as you know, their term ceased at the month of March. So we'll need to appreciate that in the abnormal things, there's not been a board that has been appointed, and therefore, while awaiting appointment of the new board, the CEO now and the rest of the team at the head office is in charge of administering. So there was a COVID relief fund that was available and applications were opened during the lockdown process, and they're currently being processed. As soon as the applications are finalized at a national level, the information will become available to the Free State in terms of how many young people from the Free State actually benefited. We need to appreciate that youth development is very broad, and it does not only affect the business and the education sectors, but the social and the creative sector and the arts and culture and. So on NYDA's mandate is not only aligned to businesses, but its mandate is broad to deal with all sectors of young people. Now, when it comes to the issues of bursaries, it becomes very important to understand processes in government. And as young people, we've got a responsibility to align ourselves and enlighten our thoughts with those processes. The reason I'm saying this is the issue of having outstanding fees as a bursary holder is probably due to one or more, 2 or 3 probabilities. But it's important not to take things as they are, but to make follow-up. If a young person comes to you in your respective field, you are more than welcome to go and visit the Free State bursary section and inquire on behalf of that young person, because we end up taking a hearsay and saying that it is fact when it's not true. Because the national lockdown applied for everybody in the country, the bursary section of the Free State provincial government was no different, and they had to comply. So you will be pleased to know that as institutions are slowly absorbing and opening into the student system, the government or the bursary section of the Office of the Premier of the Free State provincial government is already or has already processed payments. And you cannot also receive an allowance if somebody who works in that respective institution is not at work due to COVID-19 regulations. As I stated upon the beginning of my response, we had to adopt or apply or accept the new normal, and the new normal is the period of COVID-19. So for the period that we're in, we need to start embracing that things will not be the same, and as things go, they will come acclimatized, and I do know that bursary officials are working day in, day out to actually make sure that those students' needs are covered. On international students, all 318 students from all the countries that mentioned are receiving their stipends, are fully supported by the Free State provincial government. All the challenges that they have experienced, they communicate with Ndadem Tembu, who's responsible for bursaries. And as I speak to you, I can also confidently say that bursaries, international and local, are taken care of on behalf of the young people in the province. And if you feel you need to come forward and you have a dispute, you are more than welcome to come and visit us so that we can resolve that particular issue and not align it as a totality to the entire system, because the system is working very effectively and efficiently. In terms of curriculum content, in terms of gender education on behalf of all the LGBTQI community, the role of the office remains to coordinate, to facilitate, and for monitoring and evaluation processes. And so for all issues that affect any other departments, we will be able to facilitate that young people, or the voice or the say of young people is actually heard in those respective departments through the different representatives that we sit in our forum of the interdepartmental. So all the issues that mentioned are appreciated, are noted, and will be forwarded to the Department of Education in the Free State and all other relevant departments, the economic department, and so forth, so that the LGBTQI community is not left out. For us as young people, it's important to inculcate a culture of moving from wanting handouts to getting hand-ups. I say this because we bear the responsibility of making sure that we take responsibilities for our lives. Look, we can forever reflect on something that happened 44 years ago. Yes, it affects us, it's part of who we are, but we need to move away from the mindset of being entitlement to working hard for what we have. Nobody said we're all gonna go to school, get qualifications, and get placed in government. We need to appreciate that some of us have got different skills that we can use to actually uplift us and create our own place in the economic value chain. So I want to challenge all young people of the Free State, honorable members sitting here as well, that we need to change our mindset. And part of changing the mindset becomes being a communicator, making sure that you communicate the right things to our people, to the young people of the Free State. Young people of the Free State are in majority of the population, and therefore, indeed, there can be nothing without us, or nothing for us without us. Honorable Speaker did say that. So let's move away from a culture of deeming that we need or we want, and when we do have solutions to problems that we see, actually come forward so that we can be solution providers and not always just complain. The role of youth development officers in municipalities is to make sure that young people in the different localities are catered for. If there's any YDOs, as we call them, are expected to report regularly and hold meetings with the different sectors of young people. If YDOs are not living up to their expected responsibility, then it needs to be taken up and they need to be held accountable, because we communicate all opportunities available from national and provincial government level to the YDOs to make sure that it actually gets to young people in the different municipalities. Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Thank you for the opportunity again, and we're available to serve the young people of the Free State under the Free State Provincial Government. Thank you.
The response by Honorable Nabile brings us to the end of our question and response session. We now proceed to the remarks by political parties. What's the point of order, Honorable Member?
Thank you. Thank you, Honorable Speaker. My name is Honorable Lakima Kube. I'm raising on a point of order because the reason why before the question and answers we're raising our hands, we're trying to fix the very same thing that we are subjected to now. The people that we also even incentive, including the opposition, to that caucus, the aim was that let's allow the discussion, specifically after the presentation, that will lead us to have resolutions. Now we are subjected to the remarks that are going to be done by the political organizations. Before even we do remarks, we wanted to have inputs and comments that are going to boost the very same presentation, so that when we leave here, we didn't just come here for a PR purposes of going to oppose each other in the parliament and say orders, million orders. But also we need to use this sitting to be effective enough even beyond today. So, Speaker, I'm raising on the point of order that the very same table that was assisting you, they misled. That was not our decision initial. Our decision was that they increased time on the interaction debate, whereby necessarily we can raise even other issues that are not covered by the presentation and pave a way forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Member. What's your point of order, Honorable Zingito?
Thanks, Speaker. Honorable Lakima Kubel has captured as well that in the main, there seems to be an intention to sabotage the Speaker by the table. Parties agreed, but I think what is important from us as the African National Congress would at least, Speaker, request your indulgence to afford us 5 minutes caucus, such that perhaps some of these things, Speaker, might be that misinformation. And if we break, Speaker, if you allow us to break for that 5 minutes, Speaker, allow us to at least brief you what we have agreed with as political parties. And Speaker, for the case, for the progress of, for the smooth running of this session, please fire your table, Speaker. Find other people here, will give you proper table people to give you what we say. Because, Speaker, these people, I can tell you, we know you, Speaker, progressive, but these people, Speaker, are not assisting you. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Zingitwa. There was another hand over there. Are you captured? Ma'am? Honorable Member, are you captured?
Honorable Speaker, as the Chief Whip, I agree with Honorable Sizwe that we caucus for 5 minutes at the ANC.
Honorable members, may I have the whips of the parties in the House to come to my table? May I have the whips of the parties to come to the table?
Now we're saying one thing in different languages.
Thank you.